welcome to this edition of Crossover. I'm Ji Xiaojun.
Hello from Beijing, I'm Louisa Lee.
And let's continue our big feast with lots of beer.
And great food.
Again, we have three gentlemen with us. We have Petro.
Hello, and thank you for having me again.
And we have Ding Hao with us.
Thank you for... I'm very, very glad to come here.
You're talking about the food?
Yes, like a feast.
And on top of the beer as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And Sunny.
That's today.
Yeah. This is a new episode of Beer. Well, definitely, this is true. We have so much to talk, because basically we want to drink more in our show.
So we got to bring the food in, right?
So what to go with beer, that's important. That's a very important question. Just to take a look at what we have here. So this is familiar. You see that a lot, right? In your bars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you usually pair with when you drink beer? Do you do like Chinese
Good question.
food?
It'll be those barbecues.
Right? The barbecue, the skewers, right?
Yeah.
I usually do it with Mexican food. I feel like anything that's
Tacos?
greasy, you know, nacho cheese.
I don't know. I pair beer with girls.
Good for you. Good for you.
We were talking last week about like craft. I think the beauty is you can pair beer with anything. It's just not the same beer. So depending on what you feel like eating, there will certainly be a great beer for that meal. Like if you're going to eat these like delicious skewers over there, an IPA will be simply brilliant.
Okay.
If you're going to go for like a noodle, perhaps this amber lager that we have in front of us.
Yeah.
So what should we pair with this amber lager?
The rice noodles will
The
be
rice
great.
noodle.
This is, again, a new type. This is from
Is our
Boxing Cat.
Boxing Cat Ringside Red. We got a gold award with this one in Japan. It's an amazing creation from our brewer MJ, a super balanced amber lager, great flavor, like a smooth body. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I like the label, and I also like the color of the beer. Cheers.
So the label is working for you, right?
It
It's
is.
a cool label.
I don't know, maybe Chinese have an obsession of the red color or what during the Chinese New Year.
Especially New Year.
Yeah.
Very prosperous.
So the question is, I guess in different countries, this is what we have in China. We might not have the same thing in China, because if you go to different places, you will find different treats to go with beer. So what you guys have in different places, say, back in Canada when you were a student?
Actually, pizza.
It's amazing.
Pizza
It's
usually
one Canadian food.
Yeah,
very
pizza
unique.
usually do
Poutine.
soda or
Pudding.
Poutine is good with beer.
That's sweet?
No, it's like French fries.
It's a French fries mixed with gravy.
Gravy
You're
and
Canadian,
cheese,
yeah.
Yeah,
Gravy
it's
and
very tasty.
Yeah,
And
very tasty.
it goes with any kind of beer.
So pizza and
I like it
poutine.
with poutine. I like it with Mexican food. I don't know. I like fried stuff, like oily
You
stuff.
Mexican?
I live in LA for quite a bit, so I like, you know,
Yes,
I love Mexican food.
Mexican culture influence.
Yes.
So
So how about you guys? What do you pair with?
In Switzerland, you can go with beer and food, but it depends a little bit on the occasion. If you have, like, let's say a business dinner, then you maybe go more with wine. But especially in Switzerland, skiing is big, so when you're in the mountains, it's KO drinking. So it's always beer and maybe liquor.
Fondue?
Well, beer later.
Fondue, you don't actually. I wouldn't advise you to drink fondue and beer, to eat fondue and drink beer, because it's cheese, hot cheese, and with cold beer together, you get like a
But
stone.
wouldn't you have a nice sour beer?
Yes, sour is good. Yeah, sour would be good.
There is always a beer, man.
Yeah, sour would be a good pairing. Yeah.
Actually, we have this very good selling beer, which is brown ale, come with 1 shot of Scotch whiskey. And mixing together, it's very good.
Wow.
But it's getting much stronger.
I mean, we call that beer bong in this thing, right? Right? You basically put a shot in the beer. It
No,
gets
but
you
I
really
mentioned
strong.
Canada, like I spent 6 years there. If you're like with a great like steak from Alberta, like you cannot go wrong with an IPA. Or for still like in Canadian areas, like a lot of Asian influence in Canada, nice Thai food with a wheat beer. So again, like any beer you think, any food you think of, there is going to be an amazing beer for that.
How about hot pot? Because you mentioned hot pot. You have a hot pot restaurant. So
Yes.
what do you recommend people to drink with hot pot, for instance?
Actually, hot pot is very intense, like complicated
Is it
flavor.
spicy hot pot?
It's a very spicy hot pot.
Oh.
And actually very strong flavor as well, because the hot pot, our hot pot actually only cook certain area that the foreigner might won't comfortable with, but the other part is chicken. And then it's extremely spicy, very red dish like hot pot. So we selling our beer, which is one very good Pilsner in it, but we also sell our honey ale and ginger golden ale in it, because mixed with, it's all about balance, flavor, different kind of balance of a flavor combination, and then when you feel happy, it's okay, it's good.
You know, like in Kunming, you can get an amazing mushroom hot pot. And when you have that with wheat beer, is brilliant. Like it's just, to Jinhao's point, the balance between a spicy like mushroom hot pot with a super smooth like wheat.
What is the style, the flavor, the taste that is most welcomed by Chinese consumers?
With Boxing Cat, we sell a lot of Helles that is a lager beer. And but like.
So
I think IPA is the famous. When you think craft, usually people think IPA. But when you say flavor, I think like Chinese is still close to lager, like something still closer to the palate. Like I think Sunny mentioned last week that your largest volume is still a lager.
But it's shifting now, Yeah, absolutely. It's shifting. So what you can see right now in the market is that, especially new craft beer drinkers who are coming to the market, they're tending to drink wheat beers.
Yes.
So wheat beer will be the next big thing, because the Chinese palate, they like wheat beer. You know?
Smells good.
It smells good, has a little bit like this banana flavors inside. But again, they want to have it lighter. So a normal wheat beer, let's say in Germany, has about 4.5 up. But in China, they want to have it lighter, but still with the same taste.
So it smells strong, but tastes light.
That is the challenge which craft brewers have to master, because when we're talking about craft beer, a lot of people, they think like craft beer is like heavy beers, like with big volumes, right? But from a brewmaster's perspective, to make a heavy beer with taste is much easier than to make a light beer, let's say with 2.5% alcohol, and still make it tasty. That is a bigger challenge, I would say.
Yeah, actually, it's the opposite. It's much more difficult to make like a very soft beer than to make a full of flavor. When you have like the yeast in your fermentation tank, so Nestor is like producing the alcohol, like the flavors are very pronounced. Actually, the best brewmasters are the ones that really can deliver smooth beer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, our best-selling beer is honey ale, because it's a little bit sweet, and we really had the alcohol parts very well, so then you don't kind of taste it. That's why people tend to drink it. Still, people want to look for something sweet, something interesting, but something light. But, well, it's just an intro beer. So eventually, you're going to want to try the IPAs. You want to try something impure stout, something like a barley wine, which is strongest beer in the strongest beer type. So
how strong can that be?
Well, barley wine normally averages like a 15.
You can go up to 30, depends on what you're designing.
Go up to 30. The strongest one in the world right now is 67.5.
And that's still called beer?
Yes. Of course.
I guess it's how it's made, right?
And even like, and Sunny mentioned about wheat. Wheat is actually the second largest segment in the world.
Yes.
And I would say the flavor, not strong, but it's pronounced. When you're drinking lager, usually like that, you drink lager for refreshment. You're not looking for flavor. And this thing about wheat, like you still get the refreshment with an amazing soft flavor.
So the wheat beer is quite popular here in China.
Yeah, growing a lot.
But again, you have to create a wheat beer for Chinese people, right? I don't think that you can just take the wheat beer which you have in Germany, whatever, and bring it to China and it will sell in masses. So you have to adjust the wheat beer again. And that's the interesting part. So what we are working right now on is to make a wheat beer with all the taste profile which you expect from a wheat beer, but with 2.5% alcohol, right? And this is not so easy, right? So you have to think about the sugar, the dextrose, which you don't ferment, you know, in the mashing tank, how you want to do that. That's still in the fermentation tank. It still works. That the beer comes out with volume, but low alcohol.
Let's move on to the next part of how special the Chinese market can be. As Chinese people, sometimes we value the concept of what is it, 养生 in English?
养生 means, I don't know.
You basically pay a lot of attention to your health. Whatever you eat, whatever you drink, you would actually have a note of...
That is the biggest opportunity for beer. It's natural.
Really?
It's absolutely natural. Nothing in excess is good, but beer is natural. Beer is it's something good for you in the sense that if you drink in moderation, it's a fantastic liquid.
I mean, if you translate the two words literally into English, it would be like to nourish your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Youngson, yeah.
So that pretty much.
Well, they have
I
that.
have to admit what Pedro just said. Beer is an isotonic drink. It's an isotonic beverage. Just contains alcohol. But after, when you make sport to have a beer, that's the best thing which body needs. But again, everything is poisonous. It's just the amount.
Mm. You know that in Germany, the largest you know Gatorade? Gatorade is an isotonic.
Yeah.
The largest isotonic in Germany is actually an alcohol-free with beer.
Yes.
It's Erdinger alcohol-free with beer. It's an amazing drink.
But, I mean, that's beer in general. But what I'm saying is, if we were talking about to have craft beer, you have local ingredients, you have a local way to localize it, to tailor to the needs of the local consumers. What does that mean if Chinese people have that habit of nourishing the life, you know, paying more attention to the health?
That's also why our honey ale beer is the best-selling one.
You have ginger too.
Ginger also same thing. And the wheat beer we have been tried, actually that one, the orange peel is not normal orange peel, which is from like a Belgian recipe or something like that. We use the chen pi, which is from Chinese medicine. Some kind of like aged orange peel.
What kind of good does it do to human body?
Well,
you don't know, but
good.
it is good.
It is good.
Because I've heard there's a beer, in China that has like goji berry and things like that as well.
Oh,
I
ginseng.
mean, that is okay. I think that's okay when there's goji berry, and if goji berry is very healthy to your body, that's okay. We tried with goji also, but you put goji inside not because it's healthy. You put goji inside because of the flavor, right? So beer should stay beer, and if you want to have something healthy, then drink water, okay? So that's in the end actually the point.
Yeah.
So,
but you do have some ingredients, say, which is solely available, only available in Tibet, you said.
Yeah, right. But we choose herbs, we choose spices, we choose fruits, etc., to flavor the beer, to make it more interesting. We don't have that in mind that it should be healthy then, right? So somebody came up and said, like, hey, let's make a maca beer. So maca is something very fashionable right now and very healthy, but
Yeah, Pedro, think about that idea.
Like, I think the appeal of craft is exactly like its natural ingredients. It's really the art of the brewmaster balancing the elements that he'll bring to you. And this is where people get to whole new experiences, enjoying different beers that can be heavier, can be lighter, can be refreshing, can be nourishing.
Wait,
That's the beauty of it.
Maca is a great idea, though.
Did it work?
No, we don't do it because maca has absolutely no flavor. It's just a promotion, just that you can sell beer to tourists, which have no idea about that, so we don't do that.
The original idea about beer actually is safe water.
Yeah.
Boiled water mixed with some like malty like flavor, and then fermented a little bit with alcohol, so then that can keep the water longer. In China, the safe water is tea. In Western world, safe water is beer.
Okay.
And right now, we're just mixing together, make it a little bit more interesting. And we add something like, okay, this is safe water, but I want to flavor it.
Right. So what I'm saying is, you might want to invent different flavors, but you don't want to invent strange flavors.
Fantastic thing about the craft brewers is that we are very innovative. Right? So strange things, let's say experimental beers, are very nice.
Well, that's
very
a nice
funny.
word.
It should be intriguing. It should be intriguing.
Avant-garde.
But no, I mean, this is a term. This is not a term which I just created. This is a real term. In the craft beer world, we have experimental beers. And you can bring your experimental beer into competitions.
Yes.
Right?
And listen, it's not even brewing in itself. You have today in many beautiful draft bars like Infusion Towers that you use the beer as a base, and then like a brewmaster will be playing with different things that you can have in this Infusion Towers and bringing like different concoctions, different like spiced beers if you wish. And it's all about how I can intrigue you in something new, in something that really expands like your palate, and it's the opposite. If we don't innovate, we become boring.
What is the life cycle like for for a flavor? Say, does it last long or basically?
I think lagers has been there for 9,000 years.
Yeah. You also have
Yes,
seasonal
we do
beers.
have seasonal beers. In winter, people tend to drink something heavier, stronger. So like all the stout, porter, it's like very popular in winter. But in summer, in spring, let's say in Beijing, every spring we brew one batch of strawberry beer because strawberry getting popular in that season.
I see.
So
this is a classic one.
This is a regular one, yes.
Regular one.
Part of the regular portfolio.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion.
See you in a bit. Welcome back to the studio, and we have another beer in hand.
Not me, though. Not me,
Okay.
though. I'll catch up later.
Okay,
yeah, I'm
so-
not quite.
So what is this
drinker.
one? What's this one that we're
Jenny.
drinking?
Yeah, this is our Supernova. We talked last time already about this beer. This is a special beer. In our series, we brew that beer only one time a month at full moon nights.
Full moon night.
Yes, exactly.
That's the one.
That's
one.
that
Yeah.
one, Supernova,
Okay, yeah.
exactly. So the alcohol percentage is higher. It's a spicy, herbal beer with spices and herbs and ginger from Shangri-La.
Why do you have to wait until it's full moon?
Because
What
we
does it-
believe,
what does it mean?
because the Tibetan people, they are living very close to the nature, and we believe that at full moon nights that everything is different, that has more energy. So even the farmers, they're planting at full moon nights, you know, the
really?
seeds out.
Okay.
And
It
even
gets the werewolf from you.
yeah, and the water and energy even in people is different, right? So that's why we created this full moon beer as a special edition.
Oh, wow.
It's interesting because they probably have the same ritual with water, with tea drinking. I still remember, probably not about tea drinking, but I still remember when I was little, my grandmother would actually use a utensil, just put it in the open space when it was raining, because it was supposed to be water, kind of a rootless water, because it didn't touch the ground yet. It came directly from
the sky.
the sky, so it means something. And again, for tea drinking water, if it is before the Tomb Sweeping Festival, Qingmingjie, then the water or the tea, they're supposed to be better than after. It could be a difference of just one day, but it makes a difference.
we have one beer actually similar idea. We just brewed a sour beer, which is tastes like fruit vinegar, but the water we were using almost 30% of it from snow. So untouched, very clean snow.
So it must be clean snow.
Have to be.
Oh, yes.
Let's
Is
have a
it
sip.
natural?
Yeah.
Is it natural snow? Or is
Yeah,
it man
natural
created
snow,
snow?
What's the point of manufacturing some artificial snow? The next question is, when do people drink beer? Don't tell me anytime.
Thanks God the whole time.
Yes.
Thanks God.
I mean,
here in
anytime
China?
you can, but when do not people normally drink beer?
Think about in China, mostly like meal time, lunch and dinner.
To go with the meal.
Mostly, most, I dare say like 90% mealtime restaurants, and then in KTVs.
Okay, when you go out to eat with friends, right?
Yes.
That's when.
Yes,
It's
but more
either beer or liquor or maybe something else.
exactly. But
Okay.
meal, joining meal, as
Right.
we're doing here.
So it'll be with friends.
I've been told by my business partner, actually he visited Japan last year. He told me this is a perfect market. Why? A girl walking into a sushi place, 7 a.m., orders a plate of sushi and order a bottle of beer.
7
7
a.m.
7 a.m. And he told me, okay, let's do a bar in Tokyo or someplace.
And open up in the morning.
Yes, yes.
Start drinking
Yeah.
at 7 a.m.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I grew up in the U.S. where you have happy hour, right? So you go after work because you had a long day at work. You need to relax. So you drink right after work. So right after you get off office at 5, you go from happy hour 5 to 9, usually.
Actually, where our brewery is, in Hunan Yiyang, there's one local culture, certain type of a restaurant called zaojiu, which means morning drinking. So
Morning
basically,
drinking.
you go to the restaurant, they order whole bunch of food and then very strong liquor.
Beer.
Beer and liquor.
When are they open in the morning?
They open around 5 something.
5
5
o'clock.
in the morning.
Yes.
So they barely finished the drinking of the night before at 4 o'clock. So
Actually, the city besides a huge lake.
Yeah.
So when fishermen start to work, they want to get in some warmer food and the drink, and then go to the lake whole day,
right.
especially in winter.
So that's a tradition almost.
Yes.
Like.
How about where you're from? Do they have a preference in terms of when they drink?
In the Tibetan area, of course, like in the rest of China, we like to drink with dinner, food, social gatherings. But especially I saw that during weddings.
Yeah,
Wedding is big. Wedding drinking is huge. You know? It's different drinking because they have the idea we start drinking and we keep on drinking until we can't, until we pass out. Right?
And you have to pass out.
You have to pass out. Nobody walks out of this room, everybody passes out. Right? So this is the kind of thing which I experienced in the highlands of Tibet. And it's even because the oxygen level on 3,000 meters is very low.
You don't have to drink to pass out.
It goes really directly to your
the
brain.
bride doesn't have to drink till she passes out.
This is it's tradition, right?
Yeah, they have the price paid.
Yeah. It's a tradition, it's a culture, and it's nice to experience that.
It's more than just when, it's how now. I mean, how do you drink beer or how do you drink alcohol, generally speaking?
Yeah.
To pass out, that's a way of drinking.
Yeah, but when we're talking about how, then we're coming back again to this gambay thing, right?
Yeah.
Because in the West, the drinking is different. We have different kind of glasses,
Yes.
and we drink different, right? It's good possible that you go out and you have 1 or 2 bottles of beer the whole night. That will not happen in China, because in China it's always like big drinking, right?
Yeah.
But
So
we have smaller cups here,
you have smaller
but then we have to down it every time.
You want to show it to
Well,
our audience?
why don't we all show it
What
together?
what is a gambay?
Gambay means, literally, it means dry the cup, means bottoms up, right?
Do it with Sonny.
No, I think we all, no, I think we should all do it together.
This 7% beer,
Yeah,
I think we should put for another lighter one.
But maybe
In the
we
middle of taping.
But with craft beer, maybe you shouldn't gambay. I mean, then you're not really tasting the beer, right?
Honest, no beer you should gambay.
Yeah.
I know it's tradition in China, but beer should savor.
Yeah.
Do you come across occasions, say, in China where people always gambay whatever they're drinking?
That is just a tradition.
And what do you do?
Well, I'll join
You also
I'll
gambay.
join the tradition.
You also
But
gambay.
the thing is, I like to savor what I'm drinking personally.
Yeah.
So I'll respect the culture. I'll join the culture. Nice, big drink, but honest, like beer is amazing. And if you're not enjoying, savoring, like discovering what is in your glass, I think you're missing something big.
Well, I can only say they're enjoying different parts of that experience, right?
And by the way, you notice that we
Well,
brought you
what do
this
you
special
think?
glass. It's not a
Actually,
bottoms-up glass.
The second week that after we opened our first bar, there was 3 guys walking to my bar, and they all from Shandong province, which is like famous of heavy drinking. And then they went to my place and said, "Okay, what's your strongest beer?" I said, "Okay, I have a barley one, which is 8.5 at that time." And then they said, "Okay, give us 3 pints." And then they just literally 1 pint bottom up. And then they said, "Okay, I want second round." After 4 rounds, they all went to washroom. I was very angry actually, because they didn't appreciate about flavor, didn't appreciate about the hard work, everything. If you want to get drunk, go some normal place, like drink some baijiu or something.
So what do you do? Do you kick them out?
No, I didn't have to. They were in the washroom.
So wait, I mean, this gambay thing, I guess this is getting more universally known now, not even in China. So, but is it only true in China that we do gambay?
Yeah, I mean, even in Switzerland, we have this bottom-up thing, right?
Yeah.
But we don't, in my experience, you don't do that in the big cities. There are like other places where you do that, right? I mentioned that earlier, in the mountains, skiing. So when you go skiing, you want to go ski and you want to drink, and then we have this bottom-up thing. So it's always bottom-up.
A beer or tequila? Or whiskey
sometimes beer, sometimes tequila, sometimes both together. So
You mentioned earlier about this trend of being healthier.
Yeah.
I think especially like you see in the States today, like a lot of youth very concerned about No binge drinking. Actually, a lot of youth not drinking at all. I think you're evolving. In the past, it was a kind of showing your strengths. Yes, I can do it. And now I think people realize, I don't need to show anything to anyone. Actually, I need to keep my cool. And I think we still have a lot of binge drinking, but more and more people are conscious that actually they should enjoy what they're drinking instead of just push down their throats what they're drinking.
I mean, drinking habit basically is another topic for a different episode. But I guess different cultures may have a different traditions.
And the interesting thing, I don't know your restaurants, but what I see in ours, like there is almost no gambé, because the way, especially like we don't do a traditional setup in the sense of the large round tables. It's more like a traditional bar. And people are really enjoying their beers. Like you're serving like special glasses like these ones I brought for you. Is a glass really for enjoy your beer so that the aroma can expand through the glass. You have the glass with this change in here so it doesn't keep dripping through the glass. Really enjoy your drink as opposed just to like do a bottle of it.
It's almost like true with red wine too. I mean, just remember years ago, the way people drank red wine.
Downing it as well, right?
It's different, right?
Yeah, it's different.
And when you get to know more about, when you have more knowledge about.
In our bar, there's only one event involved with bottom-up gambé, which is one called a beer run. So basically, you go to a bar, you order beer, bottom-up, run to another one.
And that's a competition.
It's a competition. So normally, every weekend, 100 people sign for it. And then you just see some drunken guy running on the street and trying to get into the next one.
Yeah, that's a great marketing event. Drink as much as you can.
Gambé marathon.
But if we come back to Louise's point earlier, she mentioned that how people would just, have a pint after work before they go home. Is this happening more now in China, Sonny?
Yeah, definitely. It happens now more. And back again to traditions and culture. So every culture actually has to develop over time, right? A culture which stays in time will die. So even the drinking culture will develop, right? So yes, it will develop. But that doesn't mean that we have to copy a drinking behavior from the West. We can develop our own drinking culture, move on, right? So let's see.
But I think different than the U.S., people just don't only have a beer. People eat out in China much more than they do in the U.S.
Yes.
So they actually not go away from the bar. They'll get in the bar, have their drink to unwind, have their beer, but they stay there for their dinner.
Yeah, I was just going to mention this, because in the West, people go for happy hour and then you go home to eat. But here in China, like what I'm seeing at least, when you go to the bars here, people actually order food. And then it becomes like a gathering. They hang out with their friends. It's not just happy hour. They don't drink and go home. They drink and they stay for the entire night.
By the way, if you don't serve food in your bar dies. Like there's not a place like just a drinking place in China.
And that's why we are coming back again to food pairing and drinking and beer, right? Because what we have to develop much more is that we are creating Chinese craft beers which are going along with Chinese food. And this is something which we are still in a very early stage, and we have to explore that.
And I guess you have to keep in mind that you also need to have food with it to pair it with the beer that you're making.
More than that, we care about coming with new menus every often. That's really elevating the experience, both your beer and the food that you're eating with that.
And you have to see, like for us, I think that to pair beer with food is much more interesting than to pair wine with food. Because when you're coming back, wine is produced out of one raw material. I mean, it's grape. That's it.
You know what, Sonny? We're going to have a new episode about wine.
If we go into the engineering part, when you're producing wine, you have approximately 350 to 400 variables that you can play with. A brewmaster, because of yeast, has 4,000. So to Sunny's point, you can actually be much more elaborate with beer.
So what's going to happen next is we're going to organize a different episode about wine, one episode about liquor, and one last episode we put you guys together.
And then we have a battle.
We drink together. We drink together.
But you know, with the winemakers, always the thing, like in that time when they're making the wine is ripening in the barrels, and during this time they're drinking beer.
All right.
That's true.
All right. Now, is it still an urban thing? I mean, craft beer drinking, is it mainly happening only now in big cities?
People are open, I think, everywhere, but it's not necessarily available. It's more the opportunities, how we develop the markets for people to have access to these amazing brews.
Actually, we have 15 bars in 7 cities. Some cities are quite small, let's say Weihai, some like Suzhou. Those kind of city actually quite a traditional city. But they already know about craft beer through social media, through everywhere, from their friends everywhere. So basically, they already know what they are drinking, even though it's very hard to get. But good thing is we have online shopping. So basically, we ship our beer to the small towns, small villages.
So you're also expanding not just first-tier cities, but also second or third-tier cities.
Oh, yes.
It's almost like everything happens in this pattern in China these days, because China is developing so quickly, opening up to the rest of the world, and people have that connection, people have that access to the information of basically everything. So when you have that in Canada, and Brazil, in Switzerland, maybe in a few years' time you're going to have the same.
Let me put it in a different way.
Yeah.
China today is the most important market for Budweiser. And today, some innovations in the United States are inspiring innovations that we did here in China. Some variants of Budweiser are only available in China. One of the largest consumptions of Budweiser in the world is Guangzhou. Today, when you look for innovation, when you look for trends, you look at China.
Yeah, and you have to still see the craft beer. Definitely, the last 10 years we developed so fast, right? But on the other side, still it's early. Still the potential is huge, right? In the West, when we're talking about craft beer, Shanghai, yes, they know craft beer. Beijing, yes. But there are so many places in the West they have. It's not popular right now. So the market is huge, and the potential is big.
Still has a lot of room
Many
to grow,
places
right?
in Asia really leading, like with the case of Goose Island. Our most recent medal awarded to Goose Island was a Goose Island developed in Korea in Seoul, called Dr. Goose. So I think it's not the thing that you're only copying the West anymore. It's the opposite. I think you're leading the way in Asia.
Yeah, actually, in the West world, especially let's say in U.S., the craft beer have been there for more than, I don't know, 35 years, something like that. So there been a research about in San Diego, 70% of young generations, when they are legal enough to drink, 70% of them drinking a first pint of craft beer instead of industrial beer. But right now, even though we're talking about like craft beer expand and developing so fast in China, still 95% of people have no idea what craft beer is. So the market is huge.
So you're basically setting a goal next time when you drink beer for the first time, drink a craft beer.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Okay, you're empty now.
You're
We have to
empty.
refill.
Yeah.
That means we have to take a break now. We'll continue our discussion after a more sip.
Yeah, we'll
More
be back
sip.
after our beer talk. Welcome back to the studio, and every time we're back, we have a new drink in hand, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm one
what is
step
this
behind.
one?
Yeah, you
What
guys
is this
go
one?
ahead. What is this one? Who's?
Yeah, this is our fat drama. It's a double wheat bock, so has 8.2% alcohol. But
Okay.
when we have
8.2.
8.2% alcohol,
strong
and
Yeah,
this
I'll
beer is
skip this one.
dedicated. This beer is dedicated to the Tibetan mothers. Because they're doing so much in the household, they have strong personalities, and we dedicated this beer to the mothers of from Tibet. And when we have food here on the table, I had a very interesting experience with this beer. I paired that beer with cheese. So I had last time I had a brie. It's something like camembert cheese, yeah. So the brie has normally like a very earthy, nutty flavor. And I just tried it with the vat joma, which has a more like a fruity, like sweet flavor. And in the end, I had the feeling that I have a cheesecake in my mouth.
Wow.
And I could skip the dessert. Right? It was really an amazing experience. But try it.
Do you have some beer?
Wow.
You're one behind, right?
So shall I skip this one, go directly to that one?
should try this one with
or
that,
maybe
yeah.
next. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Yes.
Maybe you need a ganbei.
Yeah, I'm still working. Still working. Now,
This is also really good.
before the break, we talked a little bit about business. I mean, the business side of craft beer. And to have a personal love is great, and to have that experience is great. To have a business is totally different story. I mean, so how's business?
Oh, I could not wish for more. It's doing very good. Like
it's been great.
In the division for us, wheat beer is flying. Actually, for us, like when Sunny mentioned earlier about adjusting wheat for Chinese, we've been quite actually successful. Like with Chinese loving Garden beer, is one of the wheats that we sell. But I cannot wish for more. Like people really eager, if you provide the right experience, eager to try new beers, new flavors, different occasions. So flying.
So
and I think the important thing, providing the beer, and if you're capable of providing the restaurant, the pub for the person to try that beer, is the perfect combination.
Are you still searching and trying to look for other craft beer brands in China that you can kind of
No, we're actually
work with?
trying to develop, I think, like with the portfolio we have between Kaiba, Boxing Cat, Goose Island, is a fantastic combination. And honestly, I prefer to grow together, working in collaboration with other brewers, as we've been doing.
So you're shipping more than just one container outbound?
I'm not shipping anywhere. We are all producing here in China, proudly.
All right.
All our beers are produced in China.
So how's business?
Let's say 5 years ago, we were selling my business partner and I. That's all. Two people trying to create a brand. And right now we have for restaurant we have more than 100 employees, and for our own company we have 40 some. And in the past we only have 12 meter square small bar, 6 seats. That's all. And
Like
all the
small bar.
furniture were built by me because there's no one or no money for that. But right now we have 15 bars in 7 cities.
All right.
Wow.
And we've been growing so fast, and we've been being invested twice. First time was 20 million. Second time is 119 million
Wow.
RMB. So that's our company grow extremely fast right
Wow. You're only talking about a history of how many years?
now. Start from 2016.
5 years.
5
Less
years.
than 5 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Incredible.
Huge growth, yeah, huge growth.
Impressive.
How about you, Sonny?
We are very happy with our business. We are growing, and this is important for us. We are growing sustainable. That's another part, which is for me personally important. And we developed a brand which is very strong, and we believe that this brand is so strong that it can go outside of China also and be successful.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier in the previous episode that you're actually exporting it out of China.
It comes back to the brand. Of course, it comes back to the quality. Shangla beer is winning international awards, and I think that arises the interest of other players in the market, and that's why they're getting in touch with us and they want to cooperate. And this is for us a good chance to bring our brand outside of China also, and we're doing that.
What is the biggest challenge?
Educating consumers.
Educating consumers.
I think people understand when you go into a wheat beer, into a blonde ale, into a stout, what is it that they are enjoying?
What is the difference between beer
Exactly.
you have
I think
and beer?
our trade partners are very eager to carry our products, but if you place that amazing beer there, but there is no turn, then the fellow is losing his money. So how do you actually educate consumers and get consumers to try these beers? I think I'll not say difficulty, but I think what really foster our growth is as we can educate people and get people interested in beers different than lagers.
Challenge, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when you go to a craft beer pub, with the menus, they actually list out the ingredients and they list out what's in there, what you can expect. I think that's also a way of educating the consumers, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Having your waiters trained, and then the waiters ask, would you care for a beer? Can I entertain you in a aged stout? Can I bring you a blonde ale? Would you like a wheat beer with coriander and orange? So for sure, like between the menu, the waiters fostering the beers, those are the menus that you get
Also
people
like the
interested.
relationship between the bartender and the consumer, right? You need to educate or you need to suggest them
Exactly.
with different kind of flavors.
You have wine sommeliers, right? But you have beer sommeliers also. So beer sommeliers, you have to learn that. You have to learn about beer, you have to learn about the styles and characters and etc. And even what in pairing belongs to that too. So this is something which we have to develop more and educate people, yeah.
You know, China the picture used to be like that. It's almost like maybe not every county, but definitely every province had their own brand of beer. Not necessarily craft beer, but their own brand, local beer. And when we went to a place, we would like to order, what is your local brand, your local beer? But these days, most of them were actually acquired by bigger companies like your own, right? All this massive production, it's done there. So do you, as independent, you know, craft beer makers, do you face a situation like that?
Yeah, I've been touched with a few companies that they want to buy us, but we said no.
You said no?
We said no.
The price is not high enough?
No. It's just it's maybe your dream job. You don't want to ruin it. And you don't want to get it like controlled or managed or showing direction to you by other people or other companies.
Sonny, what's your take on this? I mean, would you work with bigger brands, or do you think you want to solely maintain your kind of original spirit?
I mean, first of all, there's a big topic in the craft beer world, right? So the craft beers, they're trying to, like, isolate themselves, and they say, like, oh, don't work and don't cooperate with the big breweries because they're taking your share, etc., and don't sell your company to the big breweries. But I think, honestly, as an entrepreneur, this is a private decision, right? You should decide for yourself. You don't know the reason, the background, why this guy is selling, right? That's one thing. And the other thing is, and this is something which I want to tell my craft beer colleagues in China is, I think we don't have to be. It's still always like the Goliath and the David story, right? So the big guy comes and takes your market share. You have no chance to fight against Budweiser, fight against Goose Island, and you hear always these stories. And I think, honestly, like, yeah, but in every management book, it's written how you can defend yourself, how you can defend your market, right? It's very simple that you are building up a personal connection to your customers, right? Very simple, to your bar owners, to the customers. You are regional beer, you are local beer. You should be proud of that, and your customers should be proud of that. And you can develop your business for yourself, right? Every craft beer pub knows, the craft beer owner knows all of his friends, all of his customers by name. There's no chance that Budweiser knows all the customers by name, right? So these are your strengths which you should actually play in this game. And please don't forget, when I'm coming back to the Goliath and David story, who won in the end?
It's an art, actually, to manage a business, not to mention to develop it into a big one. And in theory, it all works, but in practice, I guess the situation varies from case to case. Just look at those small independent bookstores, and they're facing great challenges. Yeah. So it's all your fault. You know, all these big companies, you're eating their territory. So what will be your take on that?
As a large brewer, what we want is to grow the industry. So when I'm doing my business, what I'm thinking is, okay, the best thing that I can do is how to invite more consumers into beer and how to invite consumers to enjoy beer in more occasions of the day. And actually, we just did a fantastic work together with Shangri-La, so like 3 months back.
You're working together?
Yes, 3 months back, Fraser, the Goose Island brewmaster in China, he paid a visit to Sunny. They worked together in a brew, in a barley wine that he called the Lost Horizon. It was an amazing, like we had now in October the release, actually in November, in our Goose Island brew house in Shanghai. It was a super nice event, our teams together in there. So I think, honest, like it's such a huge opportunity of developing the beer industry that there's a room for everyone. I greatly benefit, like, from the Budweiser business. We service 2 million outlets in China.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of having the right proposition, what are the features, what really differentiates my craft product, so that it will be worse for a bar to list his product. Because, mind you, as a brewer, okay, you might push your product into that bar. But if you don't win the consumer's heart, the bar owner will not repurchase that.
And actually, in the end, what matters is beer.
Yeah. It's a good product.
Yeah.
And
it will have good beer.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers, and thank you
very much for hosting us.
Thank you, gentlemen, once again for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you for watching this episode.